Hello and welcome back to the Stationary Dev. Today we have another ink review. For the past couple years, have been pretty good about buying inks, or not buying inks rather. But the last sort of bit of 2024, I picked up a few bottles, and most of them were purposeful. A couple of them were impulse, but this is one of the purposeful ones. So I've been on the hunt for a good basic, just straight up red ink that's not too pink leaning, not too orange leaning, just kind of a straight down the middle red ink. And I did have one. I did have Schaefer Script Red, which I think is a good one for that purpose. Nice and wet, sort of right down the middle, just a red. Generally pretty safe in fountain pens, so it's not going to stain up stuff. But that ink got moldy, so it got kind of the slimy mold kind of stuff in it, and so I had to chunk that bottle out. And so I've been on the search for another red ink, and I've never tried Graf von Faber-Castell inks before, but I love their pens. And so I decided to give them a go because this India red looked pretty much what I'm looking for, kind of right down the middle of a red. So that's kind of how I came to this one. And it's actually pretty hard to find a red that's not leaning one way or the other. Not leaning brown, not leaning orange, not leaning yellow, not leaning pink or magenta, that sort of thing. Like I said, I saw this one. I saw that it was actually pretty close to Mont Blanc Poppy Red, which would probably be the one I would pick up if it wasn't discontinued. But it's been discontinued and pretty much impossible to find. Mont Blanc Poppy Red, or Corn Poppy Red, I think is what the Mont Blanc one is. And so this one was actually looked pretty close to it. So I decided to pick this one up. This is just the box, but you got the Graf von Faber-Castell, little kind of artwork, the name of the ink, and that's pretty good representation of the color there. Nothing else too much of note. Made in Germany by Faber-Castell, and it's a 75 milliliter bottle, so you'll see it's a pretty big ink bottle there. That's the box. Inside the bottle is this gorgeous red ink bottle. I love the Faber-Castell bottles. They're up there with like the Roshizuku bottles for me in terms of just like looking really good on the desk, looking really classy. It has this big metal or faux metal cap with their Graf von Faber-Castell and the emblem, coat of arms, whatever. The name of the ink again, and once again, it's 75 milliliters. So this is a pretty big bottle of ink. Here it is compared to 60 milliliters of Pelican. So it's a lot of ink. So you do get a lot of ink for your money for the price, which we'll get to. We will get to later. So how does this ink look? Let's get into a little bit of a writing sample. First off, I'll just start off with, we will actually swatch it here, so that way it can dry while we do the writing sample. For some reason I have dark energy in the red. It's kind of between a red and a brown, but we'll put Faber-Castell India Red right underneath. And you'll probably see as this goes down and as we compare it to couple other reds, it is, in terms of the shade, it's pretty much spot on to what I was looking for in terms of being right down the middle. In terms of saturation, it's a little unsaturated for what I was expecting, but I'm actually coming to like it because it's a little easier on the eyes, being an unsaturated kind of red when it dries. But it's still like plenty bright, plenty readable. I've been using it to write cards around Christmas and stuff like that, or letters and stuff, just to like kind of evoke that holiday feel. While I have this, I'll do a quick swatch on some Rhodia, which we can come to just so you can see what it looks like on different papers. And I'm going to put the cap back on there. I do think it has a good cap sound if you're weird like me. And I also like that it always lines up the seal and everything with the way the threads are. Just little details that make it, once again, super classy. As you can see, it's already kind of drying here, that kind of unsaturated. I've had it inked. I inked it up in my Pilot Custom Heritage 92. If you saw my review, you saw me ink it up in here. As you can see, I've gone through most of the ink in the pen. And so I've been using it for quite a while. Used it for, like I said, some letters and lots of writing. So this is Graf von Faber-Castell, India red. Like I said, I've been super impressed with it. I mean, Pilot pens are already smooth out the gate and usually pretty decently wet writers, but the ink is, once again, smooth coming out of the pen, writes well, and maybe we can start to see, yeah, it's drying pretty quickly. So in terms of dry time, it's really good, even out of the wet Pilot nib there. We'll let that dry so we can see any characteristics coming out of it while we do a little bit of a writing sample on some Rhodia with the swatch that I just made. It's looking a little bit brighter on camera than it does to me and to my eye. But we have the Graf von Faber-Castell, India red. Give it a little smear test. So yeah, plenty of ink going down. I do notice it is a little bit on the dry side, but not nearly as dry as something like a Pelikan 4001. And like I said, it still flows really smooth and there's plenty of ink going down. So it's just dry in terms of a little bit, thinner, a little bit waterier kind of ink, but the color is great. The flow is great, puts down plenty of ink. Yeah, haven't had any issues with it drying up in the pen or the feed or starving the nib or the feed or anything like that. Super smooth, super consistent. I've enjoyed the full fill and I've been tempted to just keep going with it and do another fill of it because I'm liking it. As you can see, the color, it's just a red. It's just, there's not a ton of shading. There's a little bit of shading you can get on some papers like Cosmo Air Light or something you can get a little bit of shading out of, but it's not even really a shading ink. Like it's pretty much just a straight up red ink, which is really what I was looking for. It's just a little, and I like that it's not as bright as just, it's not as in your face. It's a little bit less saturated than just a really bright one, so it's easier on your eyes. You can write a full letter in it or a full journal entry, like I have, like the notes for this review here, and it doesn't hurt your eyes. You can read the whole thing, so it's very good there. Water resistant is none. Doesn't have water resistance at all. If I dropped water on this, it would just wipe it away, and I've experienced that on a couple occasions where my finger got wet or something and it kind of smeared. So don't think it's water resistant or anything like that. Let me see. Let's do a quick comparison. I don't have a lot of reds, but I might be getting some more after this one. I have my eye on one other red that I might pick up. But in terms of like swatching it with other red inks, this is sort of an orange that leans red, KWZ Grapefruit. Strawberry Shortcake is like a red that leans orange. So kind of the reverse. So you can see the difference between an orange leaning red and the India red that's just a straight up red. You can see the less saturation there. And here's what I was kind of looking for, something to replace my Schaefer script red. And as you can see, it's not as vibrant, so it doesn't jump off the page as much as the Schaefer script red, and it's not as saturated. But in actual like writing, it looks pretty good. There's some shading actually you can see on this paper here and the swatch a little bit, but most of the time when I'm writing, it comes out closer to, you know, up here than like any of the shading qualities. But on some papers you do get the shading, but you can see the difference there. So it is just a red, but a little bit less saturated than something in your face like the Schaefer script red. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot else to compare it to. There's Mercury Noir, which is kind of a getting toward a maroon kind of color. Diamine Oxblood, which is starting to get into like a brownish or just a dark red. Yeah, nothing much outside of that. So yeah, I've been pretty happy with it. I like that it's a little easier on the eyes and not quite as in your face, not quite as bright, because it makes for a more relaxing color to write in, if that makes sense for me. And it still looks good. Like this is on Rhodia. We'll get back. I think the swatch is mostly dried down on the Tomoe River. So this is Tomoe River paper. No sheen or anything. It's showing a little bit of like red sheen or something there. But you don't get any sheen in like actual writing. But like I said, super readable. Just red. Not much in terms of shading or anything. It just looks good. It's just a good down the middle ready, which is exactly what I was looking for. And the properties of it are good. So I'm glad I purchased a big ol' bottle of it. Now, in terms of price, it's about, I think I bought it for about $35 from Anderson Pens. And you know, most other retailers out there, it's going to be around that $35 mark. You might be able to find deals or sales being run on the Faber-Castell stuff from time to time, so you might be able to pick it up for a good deal. They have a really good line of colors, and they've added some in the past couple years and stuff, and so they have really good colors. I had a pen pal that only wrote in their moss green color, but they have some great browns, they have some great greens, they have a really good pink, or a couple good pinks and stuff. So they have actually a really big range. I think they're kind of underrated inks. If we're talking about some ink companies that I think are underrated, I think Graf von Faber-Castell is underrated because everybody that I've seen that's reviewed it or used it has loved their Faber-Castell ink. And yeah, it's good. It looks classy, looks great on the desk. And it's one of those that you can just, like, it's a good old workhorse, daily writer, go-to ink. And it'll be my go-to red because it fits that perfect sort of red niche that I have in my collection or my needs. I just need a straight up red, and this is going to be that for me. So hopefully this bottle doesn't get contaminated or anything, or any slime or weirdness going on, and I can use this up for a long time. I'm trying to think. Yeah, so $35 is a little expensive, but once again, considering you're getting a nice, like this could be a murder weapon. You can see that just that thick glass, and the amount of ink you're getting, 75 milliliters ink. So it's, if you're comparing, you know, price per milliliter, it's actually, you know, right there with what you would expect a good ink to be in terms of the price and everything. Like I said, you can get deals on it as well. Yeah, so I think that about wraps it up for this review. Once again, I would consider trying out a Graf von Faber-Castell ink. I had never tried them out before, and I've been 100% satisfied with it in everything that I've used it on and used it for so far. So if you don't mind, if you made it this far, please give this video a like and subscribe if you want to see more content, more videos like this. It really helps me out. It doesn't cost you anything. Please leave a comment if you have any questions about this ink or anything else, or just want to say hi. And I try to get back to those comments as soon as I can. And until next time, catch you guys later.